What's going on, Guardians? My name is the Black Link, and today, or rather tonight, is August 9th, 2018. And you all know what that means. It's Thursday. It's time for another Bungie weekly blog, This Week at Bungie. And this one is absolutely chock full of a ton of really important information that we're going to be going over, well, as quickly as we possibly can in this video. This one is no doubt going to be a very long video, so you might want to put it on in the background and just listen to it as a podcast or something. Seriously, there's a lot of stuff to cover this week. This has already been a really impactful week for the world of Destiny. We're inching ever closer to the drop of Update 2.0 on August 28th. We've got Forsaken a week after that, and this week we got to see a lot of changes coming to the Crucible sandbox environment with the weapon slot changes and the way mods and masterworks and whatnot are going to work on your legendary weapons. But we're learning a lot more in this week's blog update. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and dive on into things. Now, like I said before, we got to learn about some of the weapon slot changes, and we actually start with some really big information concerning those weapon slot changes and the changes to the way mods are working right now, since a lot of you Guardians had some questions about what your currently held mods are going to be doing when Update 2.0 goes into effect. In particular, a lot of Guardians wanted to know what exactly is happening with the elemental damage types on a lot of the weapons that are going to be swapping out between slots when the weapon change update goes into effect. And just as important, what's going to be happening to the elemental mods that we've got in our inventory. Here's what Bungie had to say. Between now and the preload on August 28th, use your Year 1 mods to lock in the elemental damage type you want for your Year 1 weapons. They will retain that damage type after the mod deprecation. On August 28th, the old mod slot will go away, and you'll no longer be able to insert any mods into Year 1 gear or change the elemental damage type. Some weapons will be moving to the kinetic slot and will not retain elemental damage regardless of what mod you had applied. The Ikelos sniper rifle and shotgun will be locked to solar. Here are the legendary weapons that will be moving to the kinetic slot. We've got the Balagant shotgun, the Shepherd's Watch legendary sniper rifle, a fan favorite and Hawthorne's Field Forge shotgun, the Alone as a God raid sniper rifle, the Perfect Paradox shotgun, the Frigid Jackal sniper, and the Silicon Neuroma. All of those are going to be moving from the heavy slot into the kinetic primary slot, which is actually kind of exciting. I like that Hawthorne's is moving there, the Perfect Paradox, the Silicon Neuroma. A lot of these are really great weapons, and it's interesting to see that they're going to be moved into the kinetic slot. But there you go, you heard it from Bungie. Basically, for your Year 1 weapons, a lot of them are going to be locking in whatever elements you've got them on right now. So let's say you've got the Sins of the Past rocket launcher and you've got a Void mod in it right now. All of your elemental mods are basically going to become useless. You'll be able to discard them later on, and whatever element you had that weapon as, the Sins of the Past, it's going to stay that element. Only a few weapons are actually going to be changing, in particular, of course, the Ikelos sniper rifle and the shotgun. And I do believe they came out a little bit earlier in the week and clarified that one of the reasons why they're changing the Ikelos shotgun into a solar weapon is so that you can't stack it with tractor cannon anymore. That's probably because of the change, making it into a special weapon. You're going to have more access to ammo for it, and I guess they're afraid of that breaking too many encounters. I'm going to miss that combination of tractor cannon and Ikelos, but I guess we'll just have to move on. But anyways, that's a big change, but it's only the first of many contained within this week's swap. Let's move on. Next up, we got some information from the Bungie investment team about how exactly power and the chase for power is going to be changing in Forsaken. They started things out by listing out some high-level goals for progression and economy changes in Season 4. Here's what they had to say. We want to bring back the days when you're impressed when you see someone at max power in the tower, and that the experience of leveling and then powering up should be meaningful. Players should also have a sense of discovery when earning rewards from different activities, and when players accomplish something difficult, the reward should be something special or unique. And of course, not all of the sources of power in a week should be apparent on the director, and we'll be seeing a little bit more on that later. But basically, they want to focus the grind for power within Forsaken, and maybe make it a bit more impactful when you see somebody running around at max light. And in order to do this in Forsaken, they're going to be scaling the power production of all content by the difficulty of that content. They state that if you manage to beat the raid while 40 power underneath the recommended level, you should expect to receive more potent rewards. They go on to state that when players earn powerful rewards, these items should never scale down to where they do not give an increase in power. Even if your power is 100 over an activity's recommended level, it should still grant at least one power level above your current average. This means that players should still benefit when grouping with teammates who haven't accomplished as much as they have. And I gotta say, I love this message here. A lot of us are very familiar with running content with individuals who are a lower power level than we are. And it's great when you can run that content, help them get caught up while also still managing to get gains for yourself. Sounds like a great change to me. Now, we've also created multiple new sources of power for powerful rewards that refresh on a different cadence than the weekly reset. The goal is to provide more to do for the players who want to play a variety of activities. I really like that too. I've complained multiple times that there's a bit of a syndrome going on with Destiny 2 right now where it's like milestone syndrome. You log in after reset, you do your weekly milestones, you log out, you don't play for the rest of the week unless there's some sort of special event going on like Iron Banner. And I love that they're going to be moving away from just this weekly milestone pursuits, while not exactly getting rid of those pursuits. You're going to see that in just a second here, but giving players more to do than just those weekly resets. But lastly, they say, as a final note on power, we've heard a lot of feedback concerning exotics. To make these rewards feel more useful, whenever you receive an exotic reward in Forsaken, it will always be at or above your Guardian's power. Hallelujah, thank you for that one. Now, let's move on to where they talk a bit about some of the milestone changes. The milestone tree has been revamped in Forsaken and will now specifically show the most important, non-repeatable quests for every player of Destiny 2. The campaign quests are a good example of this. Meanwhile, our world quests for destinations will now live in the pursuits section of your character inventory. Many milestones from year 1 have been converted to activity challenges. These will continue to grant powerful rewards, but they'll no longer be displayed in the milestone tray. When you access the director, you'll see activity challenges in the tooltip of the associated activity. Then we get a nice look at the new director for Forsaken. We can see the Tangled Shore there as well as the Dreaming City, along with all of the other public patrol spaces in the game. And basically, they're going to be simplifying this. They're going to be making it a little less cluttered when it comes to the milestone menu. A lot of those pursuits, like the Crucible challenges and whatnot, are going to be moving over to their own tabs. And we get the quick example here of the Crucible tab. You can now see that your weekly Crucible challenge, which is now to complete 5 matches, shows up there for your powerful rewards. Just overall streamlining the way the director looks. I don't have too much of a problem with that. But next up, we've got some rather big changes coming to the activities that you as Guardians are going to be competing in when Forsaken goes live. First up, we've got some huge changes coming to strikes. On August 28th, with Update 2.0, heroic strikes are going to be retired. That's right, no more heroic strikes in D2. Instead, they're going to be getting revamped. For players who own Forsaken, the strike playlist is going to have 3 different difficulties to select from: Power Level 300, Power Level 400, and Power Level 500. They go on to say that once you're 40 power over a given playlist, it will no longer appear as an option for you to select. This ensures a healthy matchmaking pool when players reach in-game power levels. And the Power 500 playlist will always be available to any player of Forsaken. And also, of course, these strikes are going to have modifiers. So basically, they're going to be separating. They're taking the heroic playlist, they're turning it into the new Forsaken playlist for players who own the DLC, so it'll have the new strikes and whatnot in rotation as well. And it's going to be separated into 3 different categories: Power Level 300, Power Level 400, and Power Level 500. Now, I like that, so long as the rewards that are going to be dropping from these strikes are relevant to the difficulty of the strikes. Like if I jump into the Power Level 500 strike playlist, hopefully the rewards that I'm getting are somewhere around Power Level 500. But I will say that this is a little bit confusing. Does that mean that since you're a Power Level 500 player or beyond, you're not going to be able to go back to the Power Level 300 playlist? What does that mean for players who might be playing with someone and helping them level up if they're a lower light level than you? Does that kind of create a bit of a problem there, since they're going to have to join into presumably the higher light level strike, making it a much more difficult experience for them? That'll be an interesting question to see answered. But for legacy players, you're not being left out too much here. You're going to be getting a legacy strike playlist that matches what's currently available right now in year 1. The recommended power for this is going to be 200, and these strikes will also have modifiers. So that Vanguard strike playlist, the non-heroic playlist, is basically still going to be a thing when Forsaken comes, and that will be available to all players of Destiny 2, whether you own the DLC or not. But they also moved to mention that between August 28th and September 4th, modifiers will be unavailable for all strike playlists. So you might want to hold off on running those until Forsaken comes. Next up for the big changes, we've got the Nightfall. First things first, the Prestige Nightfall difficulty is also being retired. Yeah, they're also getting rid of the Prestige Nightfall, but the base difficulty for the Nightfall activity will increase. Additionally, players will have the ability to choose one of 3 Nightfall strikes each week, allowing you to pick and choose the Nightfall that you want to run from 3 Nightfalls that will be selected for any given week, meaning if there's a specific reward you want, you can pick that Nightfall, run it, and see if you get it. Not to say that's an interesting change that I wasn't really expecting. Anytime you give players more options though, I'm always on board with that. Now for Legacy players, you'll still be able to enable modifiers in your Nightfall via the challenge card, but scoring will not be available for Legacy players in the 270 power Nightfall. So it looks like the normal Nightfall may be inheriting the ability to have players select their own modifiers for strikes from the Prestige. Now additionally, meditations are also being retired and replaced with a heroic story playlist. These new campaign missions will be featured at 500 power, while old campaign missions will be set to a power level relative to their release. This ensures that Legacy players can still enjoy story missions at their leisure. And because of this, Ikora Ray's Vanguard Research Reputation tokens will no longer be used as a currency after August 28th, and will be removed from player inventory. Moving on, we've got some changes coming to Heroic Adventures. These are being added to all destinations, and when that destination is the flashpoint, one adventure will be selected to be heroic per day, with the exceptions of Mercury and Mars. Those 2 destinations will function as they currently do, but they'll gain an additional adventure per day when they're the featured flashpoint. Meaning basically we're taking all of the other adventures for the other planets that aren't Mercury and Mars, and we're turning them into heroic adventures, meaning they're going to get more difficult enemies and some brand new modifiers. And speaking of modifiers, those are going to be shared across heroic adventures, heroic story missions, and strikes once this update goes into effect. So basically they're going to be unifying modifiers across the board, so that the modifiers that are active in strikes are going to be the ones that are active in heroic story missions and also active in heroic adventures. It just makes it a little bit more simple for things. Finally, for modifiers, the Brawler and Grenadier modifiers will have their recharge times adjusted to ensure that they're noticeable. And this is going to get another hallelujah from TBL. Right now, the Brawler and Grenadier modifiers are supposed to double your grenade and melee damage and recharge rates, but it really doesn't feel like they do too much in the current game environment. In my opinion, cooldowns are still way too long, so hopefully these are going to be getting a nice big buff when Update 2.0 goes live. Alright, that's it for some of the activity changes. Next up, let's talk about how the economy is going to be changing in 2.0. The people asked for it, and it looks like it's going to be happening because a lot of the tokens that you've been gathering for the past year are going to be going bye-bye. When Update 2.0 becomes available, destination materials will become your main source of reputation on their respective destinations, and destination materials will be a part of the cost to infuse different weapons and armor across your arsenal. This is actually kind of a bit of a callback to Destiny 1, where you had to get some planetary materials to upgrade certain weapons and armor. I'm assuming this means stuff like Dusklight crystals and Seraphite from Mars and Phase Glass and whatnot. All that kind of stuff that you collect out in the world space while you're out and about doing patrols or public events and stuff like that is going to be the new way you level up your factions on those respective planets. Which probably has you a bit worried about your tokens and whatnot, but they go on to state that Year 1 challenges that granted reputation tokens are being retired, but will be replaced by bounties offered on each destination that provide destination materials. So the kinds of challenges and whatnot that you complete out in the world space that used to grant tokens are going to be granting destination materials moving forward. Also, destination tokens and rare destination materials are no longer going to be rewarded, but you can still redeem them for reputation if you have them in your inventory after this update goes into effect. Next up, we've got some changes coming to the Gunsmith. He's being updated in Season 4. In Year 1, the Gunsmith required 40 Gunsmith materials for 1 reputation package. This is being increased to 100 Gunsmith materials, so you're going to need a lot more to get packages from Banshee. Hopefully you've been stocking up on those over the past couple of months. An Iron Banner, Vanguard, and Crucible tokens earned in Season 3 may be redeemed at their respective vendors in Season 4. However, Trials of the Nine will be on hiatus during Season 4, and its reputation tokens will not be redeemable. Yes, the rumors are true, Trials is going to be disappearing for a while in Season 4. It's going back into the oven so they can rework some things and hopefully make an even better in-game PvP mode. But speaking of the Iron Banner, that is going to be coming back next week starting on August 14th and going until the 21st. This is going to be Lord Saladin's final appearance in Season 3, and of course the game mode is going to be Control. The new power play rule where capturing all 3 zones is going to lock them down for 20 seconds is going to be in effect, and of course, the control zones are being replaced with these, the Iron Banner fire pits from the Fellwinter Peak back in D1. Cannot wait to see how that's going to look in game. Another game mode that is on hiatus right now is Faction Rallies. For the beginning of Season 4, we're not going to be seeing those. They're going back into the oven so they can revamp a few things with Renown and the way the Faction Rallies work. But it's important to note that if you were unable to acquire some of the specific exotic weapon catalysts that were available during previous Faction Rallies, they are working on new ways for you to earn them when Season 4 goes live with Forsaken. So don't worry too much if you didn't get your hands on that Graviton Lance catalyst. You'll have another chance real soon. But speaking of rewards that you can earn, we've got some major changes coming to the EVERVERSE store. And believe me, some of these changes aren't groan-worthy. When Forsaken goes live, we're going to have a lot of changes coming with EVERVERSE in relation to your character and even some outside stuff with the Bungie website. You're going to be able to go to the Bungie website, check the probabilities and drop rates of items within Bright Engrams, see exactly how much you've spent on Bright Engrams and all kinds of other things. But more importantly, we're getting EVERVERSE Bounties. That's right, in Season 4, each Bright Engram will grant one bounty note. And these notes can be exchanged for 3 different tiers of weekly EVERVERSE Bounties. The first tier costs 1 EVERVERSE Bounty note and rewards 20 Bright Dust. The second tier costs 3 EVERVERSE Bounty notes and rewards 70 Bright Dust. And the third tier costs 6 EVERVERSE Bounty notes and rewards 150 Bright Dust. These bounties will refresh weekly, but players can acquire as many EVERVERSE Bounties as they have bounty notes. But it is important to note that these bounties do expire 7 days after your acquisition, so you will need to utilize them or you'll lose them. Additionally, the Prismatic Matrix is returning in Season 4, so if you're a fan of that system with the knockout list of items from EVERVERSE, it's going to be coming back with a big change. This time around, instead of getting your free weekly Prismatic Facet from getting your first level up post reset, you're going to be obtaining that free Prismatic Facet from a special Tier 1 EVERVERSE bounty. This bounty, however, doesn't require any one of the previous EVERVERSE bounty notes and is simply going to cost you 250 Glimmer. So at the beginning of each week, you'll just be able to go buy this for 250 Glimmer, and it'll reward you with an EVERVERSE bounty that upon completion will grant you your free Prismatic Facet. I like that. Anything to incentivize players to get back into the game and play, rather than just paying real life money, gets my upvote. Now moving on, we're also getting some new legendary weapon ornaments that are being added to the Bright Engram. These are of course going to be unlocked account-wide like all other ornaments in the game. And also, you're going to be getting something called a new Ghost Projection. This is going to be an account unlockable item that permits players to put a holographic projection badge above their ghost that will be available whenever you whip your ghost out in navigation modes, like when you're going to orbit or something like that. So there's going to be a lot of changes coming to the EVERVERSE store when Forsaken goes live next month. Alright, now the last big thing we're going to talk about is another Valor boost weekend. We've actually got 3 weekends of upcoming boosted Valor for PvP. Leading up to the beginning of Year 2, you'll see multiple opportunities to earn Valor points at an accelerated rate, including a special Triple Valor Iron Banner weekend. Make sure you mark your calendars appropriately. First up, we've got a Double Valor week starting on August 10th and going until August 17th. Then we've got the Triple Valor Iron Banner weekend starting on August 17th and going until the 21st. And then finally, we've got our final Double Valor weekend from the week of August 24th going all the way up until Update 2.0 on August 28th. So if you're somebody out there who has been struggling or maybe dreading having to go through the Legend Rank Challenge for your Solstice of Heroes Legendary Armor Challenge, this might be a great opportunity for you to do it. It's probably not going to be quite as fun as when we had the Mayhem Triple Valor weekend, but you'll still be able to get through those levels pretty quickly with Iron Banner. There's a lot of stuff going on within the Destiny universe, and certainly a lot of things happening with Update 2.0. But anyways, that's the news. Those are my thoughts. Be sure to leave me yours down in the comment section below. And if you enjoyed the video, feel free to drop a like, make sure you subscribe, and hit that notification bell to stay up to date with all the latest stuff we're putting out. Anyways, thank you Guardians so much for watching, but I'm out for now. As always, I am the Black Link. You Guardians, stay frosty.